America's biggest cities just pulled off something impressive. They made the American dream feel like a subscription service nobody can afford to renew. Skylines still glitter. Opportunity still gets advertised. But behind the Instagram filters, something's breaking. That's the world as it is. Here's the problem. These aren't failing towns. These are supposed success stories actively rejecting the people who built them. So we're going deep. This isn't a listicle. We're breaking down 5 cities Americans are fleeing, ranked by how fast people are leaving and why the math stopped working. Some look fine until you check your bank account. One's literally bleeding talent while pretending everything's normal. Let's find out. 5. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago didn't collapse. It just slowly made leaving feel smarter than staying. The Windy City, deep dish pizza, Millennium Park, architecture that makes you tilt your head back. For decades, Chicago was the Heartland's big league, the place where Midwest ambition got a skyline and a chance. But lately, that chance comes with a bill nobody warned you about. Here's what the data actually says. Chicago lost over 40,000 residents to domestic migration in 2025 alone. Not tourists, not commuters, locals. The ones who knew which L train to avoid and which block had the best Italian beef. Between 2020 and 2025, the city shed roughly 200,000 people, a population decline that would fill a mid-sized suburb. Why? Let's talk numbers that sting. Property taxes in Cook County are among the highest in the nation, with some homeowners paying upwards of $8,000 to $12,000 annually on modest homes. Median home prices hover around $350,000. But that's misleading, because affordability collapses once you factor in taxes, insurance, and the fact that winter lasts until May. Crime stats are complicated, but perception isn't. When your nightly news feels like a true crime podcast, people get nervous. Job market? Strong in finance and tech, weak everywhere else. And if you're not in the loop, good luck finding upward mobility that matches your heating bill. Here's the part that hurts. Chicago still feels like a great city until you try to build a life there on a normal income. Then it feels like an expensive relationship you're too tired to fix. And if you think Chicago winters are brutal, wait until you see the cost of living in the next city. 4. San Francisco, California. San Francisco used to be where dreamers went to build the future. Now it's where the future costs $4,000 a month and comes with a roommate named Trevor who works in crypto. For years, San Francisco was the promised land of innovation, the place where ideas became billion-dollar companies and baristas became CEOs. But somewhere between the gold rush and the startup rush, the city forgot that people need places to actually live. Let's look at the numbers. San Francisco lost roughly 3,300 residents between 2024 and 2025. Doesn't sound like much until you zoom out. The city has lost over 31,000 people since 2020, and a staggering 326,600 through domestic migration since the pandemic began. Translation? People aren't just leaving, they're fleeing. Tech workers are getting priced out. Everyone else just becomes a very educated commuter from Sacramento. Can we talk about the hills? San Francisco streets aren't roads, they're personality tests. Your calves get a workout, your car gets traumatized. Parking is a full-contact sport where everyone loses. Also, why does every restaurant have a 90-minute wait, but the sidewalks are full of empty storefronts? It's like the city is thriving and dying simultaneously, which is very on brand. San Francisco didn't fail. It succeeded so hard that it became unlivable for the people who made it special. Artists left. Teachers left. The weird ones who made the city interesting? Gone. What's left is expensive, efficient, and oddly sterile. Like a startup that scaled too fast and forgot its mission statement. And speaking of forgetting missions, the next city used to be the center of the world. 3. New York City, New York. New York City is still the city that never sleeps. It's just that now, nobody can afford the rent to stay awake there. Experienced a net domestic migration loss of over 137,500 people in 2024 to 2025. Brooklyn, $3,400. Queens, $2,800. Even the Bronx is creeping past $2,000. Median household income in NYC? Around $70,000. Do that math. It doesn't work unless you have 3 roommates, 2 jobs, or 1 very understanding sugar parent. The cost of living is 87% higher than the national average. A bagel costs $4. A Metro card is $2.90 per swipe. A night out will cost you a week's groceries. And don't even get me started on taxes, because New York will tax your income, your property, your sales, and probably your dreams if they figure out how to audit them. But here's the real emotional toll. New York used to be the place where you struggled but felt alive. Now, you just struggle. The energy is still there, but so is the exhaustion. You're paying premium prices for a subway that breaks down, streets that smell like summer garbage year-round, and the privilege of living in a shoebox with a view of another shoebox. New York is still New York. It's just that the people who made it iconic can't afford to stay. The artists, the writers, the hustlers, they're all in Philadelphia now, or Nashville, or anywhere rent doesn't require a GoFundMe. What's left is finance bros and tourists, which, let's be honest, is just expensive and sad. And if New York felt expensive, the next city makes luxury look like a lifestyle requirement. 2. Miami, Florida. Miami is what happens when paradise gets a business degree and forgets how to chill. Welcome to Miami. Turquoise water, Art Deco architecture, nightlife that doesn't start until your bedtime ends. For years, Miami was the sexy alternative to cold, expensive cities. No state income tax, endless sunshine, a vibe that felt like vacation mixed with opportunity. But then everyone showed up, and Miami stopped being affordable and started being a flex. Here's the reality nobody posts on Instagram. Miami experienced a net domestic migration loss of over 101,000 people between July 2023 and July 2024. That's the steepest year-over-year percentage drop of any major U.S. city. People aren't just leaving, they're sprinting to Atlanta, to the Carolinas, to anywhere rent doesn't require a hedge fund. Let's talk cost. Miami is officially the most rent-burdened city in America. Nearly 60% of renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. Average rent for a one-bedroom? Over $2,500. Median household income? Around $44,000. That's not sustainable. That's financial acrobatics without a net. You're paying luxury prices for a city where traffic makes you question the passage of time, and your AC bill makes you question your life choices. Here's the contrast that kills. Miami looks rich. It feels rich. Ferraris on Ocean Drive, yachts in Biscayne Bay, influencers everywhere pretending they're successful. But locals are drowning. Service workers can't afford to live near the places they serve. Teachers are commuting an hour each way. The people who make the city run can't afford to stay in it. Miami is still growing overall thanks to international migration, but Americans are leaving in droves. It's not a city failing. It's a city becoming something else entirely, a playground for the wealthy and a treadmill for everyone else. And if Miami's pricing people out, the next city is doing it while literally falling apart. 1. Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is the American dream's most expensive lie, and people are finally calling the bluff. The City of Angels, Hollywood, In-N-Out Burger, beaches, mountains, eternal sunshine, and traffic so bad it makes you rethink the concept of time itself. For over a century, Los Angeles has been the destination, the place where ambition meets opportunity, where dreams get filmed, produced, and sometimes even funded. But lately, the credits are rolling, and people are walking out early. Here's the data that lands heavy. Los Angeles has topped the list of cities losing the most residents for 2 consecutive years. In 2025, the city experienced a population decline of 0.8%, losing roughly 28,500 people. Doesn't sound massive until you realize this is Los Angeles, a city that built its identity on growth, expansion, and endless possibility. When LA starts shrinking, something fundamental has shifted. Why are people leaving? Let's start with rent. The average one-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles costs around $2,800 per month. Two-bedroom? Closer to $3,500. Median home price? Over $900,000. And that's not for a mansion in the hills. That's for a modest house in a decent neighborhood where you'll still hear helicopters at 2 a.m. Median household income in LA is around $70,000, which means you're either house poor, rent burdened, or living with 5 roommates who all have podcasts. Here's the emotional truth beneath the data. Los Angeles is exhausting. It used to feel like you were trading comfort for opportunity, but now you're trading everything and getting less in return. The film industry is consolidating. Tech jobs moved to Austin. Creative work went remote. What's left is a city that still charges premium prices but delivers straight to streaming value. Crime is up. Homelessness is visible everywhere. Not because people are cruel, but because the cost of housing is. Schools are overcrowded. Infrastructure is crumbling, and every time you mention leaving, someone says, "But the weather," as if sunshine pays rent. Why does it take 45 minutes to drive 8 miles in LA? It's not traffic, it's a lifestyle. Also, why does every apartment have charming original features? Which means no AC, no dishwasher, and a landlord who hasn't updated anything since 1987. I love character, but I also love functioning appliances. So there they are, 5 cities that once promised everything and now deliver mostly bills. They're not dead, they're just different, expensive, exhausting, operating on a frequency most people can't afford to match. The truth is, American cities aren't failing, they're evolving into something that works for fewer and fewer people. And when the math stops working, people stop staying. That's not giving up, that's just math. I'll keep finding the world's hidden corners. You just have to click subscribe to come along.